This is Lightning Power Lunch, presented by Reef Rum on the Lightning Audio Network with Dave Mishkin and Greg Linnelli.
I guess there's a couple things. Okay, did he mean to do it or was it deflected? Was there an advantage gained or not? And you could really debate whether an advantage was gained. Did Brandon Hagel direct that puck knowing exactly where it was going? No. Would you sit here today and say Brandon Hagel was maybe protecting his face from a puck hitting it or protecting some part of his body? If I threw this microphone at you right now, would you put your hand up to stop it? Hell yeah, you would. All right? So there's a spirit of the rule. Was that the spirit of the rule from him taking it in the face? If that, okay, let me do that. And I think that's where we get that wrong. And that's not what happened. And he didn't direct any pucks. That was a bang play. There were tons of guys around it. Turned out we got it first. A lot of the game developed after that, and then the puck went in the net. So is that a really frustrating one for me? It is. I think you read the rule book, which we did, and then you try and dissect what happened in the play, and then you take it all into consideration. It's laughable that got overturned. And but in the end, it did. So can't cry over that. Bottom line is we should never put it in that situation anyway. So that's our bad that we got to that situation. But I think in the spirit of the rule, come on, that's a goal all day.
I think a lot of people probably feel that way, at least here in Tampa Bay. I think across the league.
I think so too.
Maybe even in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think there are some Pittsburgh fans who are like, yeah, we got away with one there.
They did. We had this conversation on the last call. It's really the first time you can have a reaction after a game, and I know J.P. Peterson was very outspoken about.
I heard.
About
he doesn't like video reviews at all.
I think in sports in general, and I think you're having these conversations in other sports too. So you want to get the call right, but are you getting every call right and really being a stickler, or to Coop's point, the spirit of the rule?
Yeah.
I think that's where we need to reset. I think the conversation of replay.
Well, putting the replay conversation aside, because that's a whole other bucket. To me, they got this call wrong, and we can spend part of the show going over what happened and give you our take, but I doubt either one of us can put it better than Coop did. Coop was measured. Coop was logical. Yeah. I mean, he was ticked, clearly. But, I mean, the guy did go to law school, right? So he knows how to make an argument, and I think he made a very, very good argument. But I actually didn't write my extra shift last night. I'm like, I want to actually sleep on this and kind of organize my own thoughts, and there are two rules that were cited, basically. So I'm like, let me reread them in the morning so I understand kind of where the league was coming from here. Because I'm not somebody who likes to, go to the top of the mountain and howl in the wind, although sometimes I do. I like to try and understand, and I think fans of the show know that I like to understand why a decision is made, and I don't feel that there's like ulterior motive. I think the people in these positions are doing legitimately the best that they can. So I was like, okay, why was this decision made? Let me try and understand where they were coming from and then take it from there. So let me just start here. That was a fantastic hockey game, and by all rights, we should have had overtime. Like, that was one of the most entertaining games of the year, and the fans that were in attendance, JP mentioned this, and on this I do agree with him 100%. The fans that were there to get to witness that were robbed of an overtime. That game deserved 5 extra minutes.
And also the Lightning robbed of a point. Lost
absolutely.
In all of this, you didn't get anything out of that game.
They might have been robbed by a point, though, in a game that was less entertaining, though. That was a very entertaining game. We saw a lot of good stuff from Pittsburgh. Erik Karlsson looks like a completely different player. I mean, he was involved in a lot. He had an assist on The Kindle goal, he didn't get an assist, but he started the play on what turned out to be the game-winning goal where he flipped that puck down the ice. I thought he was great. Crosby was great. Malkin obviously had a great game. You mentioned Ben Kindle. He's a fine rookie. He had a goal in the game, and the Lightning had some very memorable performances. Kucherov had 10 shots on 19 shot attempts.
90 touches. Did you hear that stat?
90 touches. Somebody's tracking that. Yeah,
90
that's amazing.
Touches?
Hagel had his own novel in that game. Wow. He had chances at the beginning. He had a critical turnover. He got benched. He came back. He scored 2 goals. He was right in the middle of the hand pass saga. Anyway, that game had a lot. Tristan Jarry was out of this world. I mean, it was a fantastic game. The entertainment value was off the charts. And to get the air taken out of the balloon due to this play stinks. Mm-hmm. All right. Having said all of that, let's get to the play. So there are 2 rules that the league produced. One of them is related to coach's challenge. This is something that nobody has talked about, but it is fairly significant. The Pittsburgh Penguins did not challenge that play. Mm-mm. That was an automatic review, automatic in that the league saw something and they wanted to take a look at it. It was an automatic review that is triggered only in the last minute of regulation. Nikita Kucherov scored the goal that was taken away 5 seconds into that threshold. So if Nikita Kucherov had scored his goal 5 seconds earlier, the league could not have initiated a review. The review would have had to have come from the Penguins. So let's just keep that in mind. And look, had the Penguins challenged, they would have gotten it right because we know how the league ruled on it. But would the Penguins have challenged? We'll get back to that in a second. But it was that close. If Kucherov, the actual hand pass occurred with over a minute left. The actual infraction happened before this threshold kicks in. It's just that the goal was scored with less than a minute. That's why the league got involved. Okay. So here's the first part. I'm going to call it up here. This has to do with the coach's challenge. What you have to understand about what they're looking for in a coach's challenge. This is Rule 38.1. The second one, by the way, we have a graphic, so I won't just be reading it to you folks. If you have the video stream, can read along. This one we don't. In all coaches' challenge situations, the original call on the ice will be overturned if, and only if, a conclusive and irrefutable determination can be made on the basis of video evidence that the original call on the ice was clearly not correct. If a review is not conclusive and or there is any doubt whatsoever as to whether the call on the ice was correct, the original call on the ice will be confirmed. The original call on the ice was no hand pass. Now, did they miss it? Did they see it and decided it didn't rise to the level of a hand pass? I mean, Wes McCauley's right there. He's trying to get out of the way of the puck. He's looking at Hagel.
Sure.
So I think we can presume that McCauley saw something, right? And chose not to call it. So the standard, it's almost like innocent until proven guilty, right? The standard is this has to be rock solid, irrefutable, slam dunk, absolutely no question for them to overturn it. They overturned it, okay? So keep in mind the standard. All right, Steve, let's call up the hand pass graphic if we can. All right, this is the actual rule. This is long, but I'm going to read it. You're watching on the stream, can read along, and then we'll break it down. Hand pass 79.1. A player shall be permitted to stop or quote-unquote bat a puck in the air with his open hand or push it along the ice with his hand, and the play shall not be stopped unless, in the opinion of the on-ice official, he has directed the puck to a teammate or has allowed his team to gain an advantage, and subsequently possession and control of the puck is obtained by a player of the offending team, either directly or deflected off a player or official. If, in the opinion of the on-ice officials, the puck has deflected off a player's hand and no advantage has been gained by the team, it will not constitute a violation for the purpose of this rule. So there's a lot here. I read it a few times, and I tried to understand it. Okay, to me, can you bring it up again, Steve? There are two sentences here. They are two separate thoughts, okay? First, they're saying, like, just a hand pass doesn't necessarily necessitate a whistle. The reason it would necessitate a whistle is if the player directs it to a teammate. That's the first sentence. Right after that word, unless he has directed the puck to a teammate. Or, in doing this hand pass, he has allowed his team to gain an advantage. That's kind of one bucket. Mm-hmm. The second bucket is the second sentence. The puck is deflected off a player's hand and no advantage has been gained by the team. That's if that happens, there's no hand pass. Okay. So when we watch the replay, Erik Karlsson plays it off the glass. It hits the glass. Hagel is wedged against the boards. He's trying to stop the puck from leaving the zone. Okay. It hits the glass. It deflects toward him. One thing I will take a little exception with from what Coop said when you watch the replay is not going to his face. Like Coop said, if I throw this microphone at your face, it looked like it was kind of going toward his chest. Yeah, but right. He's still like protecting himself. Hagel brings up his left hand to protect himself. It hits the glove, bounces to the ice. It skips through Macaulay's skates. Hagel's actually reaching, maybe trying to touch it. Doesn't, because Macaulay's a little bit in the way. And it slides past Kevin Hayes, too. Gensel touches it. Okay? So there's a lot in this rule that is like, if this, if that. There's no disputing, if you watch the replay, the puck does hit Hagel's glove. And after it hits his glove, nobody touches it until Gensel touches it. So, as I wrote an extra shift, if this is a black and white rule, like offside is black and white. That's why we look at these replays. A guy is a millimeter offside. It's like there's no judgment call there. It's either on or off. If this rule was black and white like offside is, it's a hand pass. Like it hits his glove, and then his teammate touches it next. This is not that, though. This is all these ifs, whats, it shall be this, if this situation, it should be that, if that situation. This becomes a judgment call, okay? So the first question is, was this deflected or was it directed? The league's explanation, and you can read it elsewhere. I mean, I think most of the reporters had it. The situation room said, it wasn't even Wes Macaulay, it was a situation room. They said, Brandon Hagel directed the puck to Jake Gensel. So the way the league decided to make this ruling, they took the first part of this rule. They took the part where it says he has directed the puck to a teammate. That was the part they focused on, not the deflected off a player's hand, did it give an advantage. They actually said, Brandon Hagel directed it to Jake Gensel. I'm sorry, that is impossible to determine. It is impossible to reach that conclusion watching the replay. They got it wrong. To me, if you're directing a puck to a teammate, that implies intent. That was what Coop was talking about. He's like, are you telling me that Brandon Hagel knew that as he's protecting himself, that puck is going to go to Jake Gensel? That's directing a puck. I see you, Greg. The puck is coming to me, and I make a play with my glove to get it to you. That's me directing the puck to you. That is not what happened last night. What did happen was the second sentence. The puck deflected off the player's hand. Now, was there an advantage gained? That was the other part Coop talked about. We could argue all day whether an advantage was gained. The way I look at this rule, and I actually think the rule should probably be rewritten because the second sentence is a little vague. What does it mean to gain an advantage? Like, if the puck hits my glove by accident and then the other team doesn't touch it and one of my teammates touches it, then, yeah, there's probably an advantage gained there. So how do we determine what is an advantage? This is what I kind of wanted to think and marinate on. To me, this is the example of an advantage gained. I'm standing at the offensive blue line. The puck comes at me. I protect myself. It hits my glove and bounces to my teammate who has a lane to the net and scores. he got a breakaway because it hit my glove. Or I'm standing at the side of the net. Somebody takes a shot. It hits my glove, drops to the other side of the crease, and the guy has an open net and puts it in. That, to me, would be accidental, but an advantage gained. And if we're going to pull it back even more and use what we often say, the 30,000-foot view, like, why is this even a rule? Like, why do we have a hand pass violation? Well, players are supposed to play with their sticks, right? You can do a lot with your hand if you take your hand off your stick, right? You can glove a puck down. You have, wingspan advantage. Like, you shouldn't be able to use your hand to make a play. That's really the spirit of the rule, which is what Coop is talking about, which is why they have this rule written as directing a puck to a teammate. You're intending to use your glove to make a play. They don't want that to be allowed, and I get that. But they're like, well, what happens if it hits the glove and some weird thing happens and the team gets a tremendous scoring chance as a result on a bang-bang play? I think that's why they put that second sentence in there, which is saying, like, if it's deflected but there's an advantage gained, they're kind of giving the negative. They're saying if it's deflected and no advantage is gained, then it's fine. That's what I think. I think actually the spirit of the rule is you shouldn't really be able to use your hand to make a play. And if it hits your hand and creates a scoring chance for your team, we're going to say that's not okay either. Somebody make an argument to me that that's what happened last night. What I saw happen was the puck deflects off Hagel's glove. Gensel gets it, but there's no advantage gained there. It's not like Gensel had a lane to the net or an open net and shot it in. The goal doesn't take place for 13 more seconds. That's why I think they got this wrong. And they looked at the rule and they zeroed in on this directed to a teammate, which that is just a very, very hard argument to make when you watch the replay. So,
and also too,
that was kind of how I digested it, and that's how I see it and tried to explain to the fans. And hearing John Cooper talk, I think that's kind of how he saw it too.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's very similar to what we've seen with the offsides call.
But that's black and white, Greg.
But if it's
this is judgment.
What I'm saying is, though, if the player has no bearing on the goal, because we've seen this, and it's like an inch, we have seen these things. And I think it happened, was it 2016 with Jonathan Drouin and the Pittsburgh Penguins, right?
Yeah.
In the playoffs.
Yeah, that was a big
it
call.
was a very, is that what it's intended for? Plus,
we can take the verbiage off, Steve, I think.
Yeah.
At least I'm done, unless you want to.
The other thing, too, is, partner, I think it's important to know that when you start talking about hand passes or puck hitting your glove, it does depend on what zone you're in. Because in the defensive zone, as long as you're not covering the puck up,
I don't think it's reviewable. It's only
it.
reviewable in the offensive zone, I believe.
Correct.
And if it happens and the puck leaves and then comes back in without a whistle, it's still not reviewable. This all started in part because of a playoff series between St. Louis and San Jose in 2019. That was the year St. Louis won the Stanley Cup. It was the Western Conference Final.
Yeah.
Series is 1-1. It's Game 3 in St. Louis. San Jose wins this game. There was a missed hand pass on the goal. Like the guy, I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I think two San Jose players were around the net, and one guy like swats it down with his glove, and it comes to his teammate, and he shoots it in, and they missed it. And at that point, it was not a challengeable play. And it was soon after, maybe as soon as the next year, that they added this missed stoppage as a challengeable play.
Yeah.
And it's not just for hand pass, although that's one of them. Sometimes it's puck out of play, like did the puck hit the netting and come back in? It should have been out of play. It wasn't. So I understand why they put it in. I think they missed it, though. I think that they did not use the rule and apply it to the play that happened on the ice. And that's why John Coop, if this was black and white and it's like touched his glove, teammate touched it next, Coop's like, I don't like the rule, but that's the way it is. That was about as animated as you'll see John Cooper after a game in terms of pushing back against a call from the league, because I think he understood that they didn't get it right. And that's my opinion. I mean, somebody from the league might be like, you're wrong, but...
Well, the officials on the ice didn't make the call.
They didn't make the call.
That's the part that's troubling.
It came from the Situation Room.
And we were talking about on the last call, wouldn't have been something if the officials overturned Toronto. I mean, could that have happened? Like,
yeah, I mean,
no,
ultimately
we
it
actually
is
don't
the
see
official's
that.
call, right?
I mean, they could have, and I was like, well,
and
do you
Wes
want a job?
McCauley's a veteran guy. Maybe he's like, I disagree. I think that this was a deflected puck and no advantage was gained. I'm just going to go back to the Pittsburgh part of it. So who knows what Dan Muse would have done? Maybe they look at that and they're like, we think that's a hand pass. We're going to roll the dice. I don't believe, and we'll never know, I don't believe Pittsburgh challenges that. I think it's too close. And let's say the goal happened with like 1 minute, 3 seconds left. You're still looking at a 4-4 game. You're still looking getting points out of this game. And if you get it wrong, you're going on the penalty kill.
Yeah.
I think Pittsburgh's like, we're just going to play the last minute. We're going to get our point. We're going to try and get the second point. This is too close. We're not certain we're going to win this. So we are not going to challenge. Maybe they would have. And had they challenged, the goal would have been taken off the board based on what we ended up seeing. But the goal happened with under a minute left, just barely, not over a minute left. So the decision was taken out of Pittsburgh's hands in a way that was a benefit to them. They didn't have to make that tough call. The league made it for them.
Brandon Hagel, what did you think?
Yeah, I don't know. Those are close. Try to protect myself when a rim comes around the boards. And, I guess maybe it nicked my glove. I don't know what you consider a hand pass, but that's besides the point.
That's the
You can
point.
tell.
That is the point, though. I mean, beside the point to the overall game, but what do you consider a hand pass? Was it directed? Did he know that Gensel was going to get it? I mean, I think our listeners are agreeing with us.
It was
No,
a bad
absolutely
call.
not. It was not directed. But that's what we read from the Situation Room. That was the ruling. That was why the goal was taken off the board. They used the word directed. Brandon Hagel directed the puck to Jake Gensel.
Yep.
So we can take fan
let's get to some
questions, but I
questions.
mean, certainly we can get to there was a whole other part of the game,
Tons of
a
games.
whole part of the game to go over where the
Let's-
Lightning had some hiccups. They made some mistakes. Their penalty kill let them down early
Special
in the game.
teams is a big deal.
Special teams is a big
was
deal.
a really big deal in this game.
But I still think it was kind of like the Islander game in that the Lightning played well enough that they should have gotten at least a point.
they needed
out
some
of it.
points out of that. That was a tough
Yeah,
one.
that was
was
a tough
one for sure. Just a few questions here. Tampa Bay, it seems like Hagel's always trying to protect himself, whether it's from flying elbows or flying pucks.
Well, look, yes,
Maybe,
he
I
took
don't
the
know.
elbow from Ekblad, but look, that's just a bang. As Coop said, it's a bang play. Hagel has a right to protect his body by sticking his forearm up. It might
Yeah,
have hit him
that's-
in the arm.
Yeah, that
You know?
I'm not going to fault a player for that.
No.
Alan says the rule states on ice officials. So why did Toronto get involved? Given Toronto's love for Kucherov, if anyone else had scored that goal, would we be having this discussion right now? I don't know.
Yeah,
can't
I think
get
it's
into that.
on ice official, but it's understood that when the league does a review that it's supposed to be, I think, a collaboration.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was or it wasn't.
Kay says, watching this while I'm waiting for my flight to Toronto. Well, we
Okay,
appreciate
can
that.
go to the Situation Room. And
Tell
be
your
like,
friends.
"Oh."
Tell your friends. What's this one? Mikey says, Friedman this morning on 32 Thoughts talked about a previous call from Calgary-Toronto where the same thing happened and the goal was brought back. Stinks, but I guess that's the rule.
Well, if that's the rule needs to be worded differently. I mean, I don't know about that Calgary-Toronto game. I am sorry. Brandon Hagel did not direct that puck to Jake Gensel. So the explanation from the league does not hold water with me.
I agree.
And I think a lot of people around the league, I saw the Spit and Chicklets. There was a clip of 4 of them watching it in time. And Ryan Whitney was like, before the ruling, he's like, there's no way that this is coming off the board. And he was like astonished. And it's kind of like, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, how can it not be a duck? And the league is like, that's not a duck. You know, I
No.
think a lot of people are looking at it and being like, what are we doing here?
It's
like
a
this
hawk.
is, yeah, like this
It's
is
a penguin.
This is not the spirit of the hand pass rule.
Right. I am with you on that. Greg says, thanks for the show, guys. That one was very disappointing. My main question is, did Pittsburgh really challenge that? You can't stop play to initiate a review in under a minute. plus just clear defense.
Well, they didn't stop play. It was a goal, and Pittsburgh didn't have to challenge because it was initiated by the league because it was in the final minute. Somebody in the league saw that it was close.
Yeah.
And were like, we need to look at this.
The league has always given the Penguins favorable calls. They're just one of the league's precious teams for whatever reason.
You could probably have a bunch of arguments to the contrary, Greg. I'm sure there have been calls that have gone against the Penguins through the years.
They have. I mean, it's...
Yeah.
But I get the frustration there. Mikey also says the league initiates a review with under a minute to play. Yes.
That's why I was like, if Kucherov scored that with 1:01 left, we're looking at a whole different dynamic of whether this thing even gets looked at.
FKA says Lightning shouldn't have dug a 4-goal hole for themselves, but that's one of the worst calls I've ever seen. Toronto must have had money on the game. Absolutely disgusting, a disgrace, sickening.
Well, come on. I don't think Toronto had money on the game. I think that somebody from the league office and, I think JP was saying like some nerd with, at a desk. And it's like, look, I'm a little bit of a nerd. I didn't take offense to that. I don't know if it was a nerd at some dork at a desk, like JP said.
It
may have been Colin Campbell. Like it may have been.
Wait, don't bring his name up here on the show.
In the Situation Room. Yes, I won't invoke that name again.
Please don't. I get nightmares about that.
But they felt that they were doing the right thing.
Yeah,
I disagree. So.
I'm a huge proponent of calling the rule book, and I'm okay with all of the replays on offsides. However, I agree with Dave. The hand pass rule gives refs interpretation on if it was intentional, provides an advantage, which it didn't, in my opinion. That said, good pushback by the Bolts. However, I feel this game was one of the first where I really felt we missed Heddy and McDonough. Also, don't know how we get Bjork going, but he needs a reset.
All right, so let me just address this one thing. Then I do want to get to the Bjorkstrand question. The way I would rewrite the rule. You're going to let me be rule book author for a day. This is how I would rewrite the rule. Because, once you get into intent, it starts to get a little fuzzy, right? But we have intent in other areas, like the kicked in puck. There is a standard there, like the distinct kicking motion that's a little bit interpretive, but I think they understand, like if you're swinging your leg, that's coming off the board.
Yeah.
If it hits your skate, and even if you angle your skate, it's okay. Same with puck over the glass. There's never a question if a puck deflects off a stick and goes out of play. They don't call that a penalty. You actually have to, make a play in the puck.
Yep.
You either shoot it out, you bat it out. There's a distinction there. So I would keep the word directed in there. I would say this. A hand pass is illegal if a teammate uses his glove to intentionally direct a pass to a teammate. If the puck happens to deflect off the glove and it is not directed, but it leads directly to a scoring chance, that is also illegal. Boom, that's it. That's all you need. I think that covers your bases. You can't intentionally use your glove to make a play. And if it hits your glove and something really bad happens for the other team as a result,
sure,
we'll say that's okay too, to take off the board. Everything else, which is really not much. Usually if it hits the hand, the guy is making an intent. Usually the hand pass is called correctly because usually the guy is using his glove. It's rare that it bounces off the glove. It's more likely to bounce off a different part of the player.
The officials got it right.
Yeah.
On the ice.
On-ice officials.
The on-ice officials got it right. I
mean,
they get hammered every game. Sometimes it's warranted.
And
not.
The Penguins didn't like the Crosby cross-check. I'm certain of that. I didn't like the Radish trip on Crosby that actually led to a power play goal. I thought that was not a good call. So, look, there was stuff that the on-ice officials did that probably both sides didn't like. At the end of the night, the Lightning had 6 power play chances. The Penguins had 4, so the Lightning can't really argue about that. But in this instance, I do think that the on-ice officials had their finger on the pulse, and whether they were convinced to make the change or they were just overruled, we'll never know. Bjorkstrand on the power play. So I'm seeing chatter about, Bjorkstrand, oh. So what happened in the second period? They pulled Nick Paul off the first unit, and they put Gonsalves on because that was when Hagel was being benched. Okay. And we were like, well, why is Gonsalves on the first unit? He's going to the left circle. That put Bjorkstrand into the bumper. It completely changed his role on the power play, and he became extremely not dangerous to extremely dangerous. You snap your fingers. Anyone's going to try and tell me Oliver Bjorkstrand didn't have a good night last night in terms of generating chances from the bumper? They are wrong. He did. He had a chance on that second period power play. I think one of the panelists that you had in said it hit the crossbar. Phil and I thought that was a shot on net that Jari stopped. And then he had two tremendous chances in the third period when Hagel was – so Hagel came out for the first third period power play and scored right away.
Right.
Okay. So they had Hagel at the left circle. He's on a strong side. That does take away the one-timer from that spot. But the Lightning's power play, this is their sixth and final power play when it was 3-2. It looked good. They had Hagel on the left, but they had Radish open for a one-timer at the point. They had Kucherov open for a one-timer at the right circle. They had Gensel goal line extended. They had Bjorkstrand in the bumper. They got the puck to Bjorkstrand twice. Once Jari made a tremendous save on him. The other, Connor Clifton makes a desperation lunge with his stick. It's going into an open net, hits the shaft of his stick and goes over the crossbar. That was unlucky. So by my count, the power play in which Hagel scored was like almost right away, right? Although I guess they carried 26 seconds of that or 24 seconds through the end of the second period. But basically, once they moved into the bumper, Oliver Bjorkstrand had three super dangerous chances. And two, the goalie stopped, or one hit the crossbar, and the other, Clifton pulled a rabbit out of his hat and made a miraculous block. Otherwise, it's in the net. So I don't know what's going to happen moving forward, but that's the Bjorkstrand spot. What does that mean for Braden Point? I don't know. But if Bjorkstrand's going to be on the power play, we can see how dangerous he can be in the bumper, which is a spot that he has played before with other teams. He is familiar and comfortable in that spot, and he has a great shot. And they were able to get him the puck.
Yeah.
Not once, not twice, 3 times.
For sure. I don't disagree with you on that. I think people just want to see the guy finish.
I understand that, but
I think that's the issue.
The first step is he wasn't even really getting a lot of chances. I mean, in a very, very short sample size, once that move was made, he had 3 grade A's.
I think with him, and we talked about this, is he's not a one-timer guy. He's just not. So is this something
he can shoot the one-timer when he's in the bumper and the puck is sliding to him. Yeah. Short pass. When it's wired cross ice, that's a different challenge.
It is. But one, they're gonna need to figure that out, and I don't know, maybe they found something here. They got to get him going. I'm stating
when
the
Point
obvious.
comes back, I mean, they could put Point at the left circle.
They could
and create that. I mean, he's not necessarily a one-timer guy either, but I think he has more comfort maybe handling the puck and playing the puck than Bjorkstrand had, because Bjorkstrand wasn't used to being in that spot on the power play. We'll see. Point's not
right,
in the lineup yet. Who knows? I mean, the Lightning did have a practice today, or do have a practice. I guess it's over. And Carlisle was sent down. So we'll see what that means for one of the other defensemen. I mean, they have Santini, who was scratched last night.
Sure.
That would give them basically another righty if they put him in to join Radish and Carlisle. Radish and Crozier, who came back last night. Or maybe it means that Hedman is closer than what we thought. Coop said Hedman was still a ways away, though. So we'll see. Hedman's been practicing. So if he is ready, that would explain, why they sent a lefty down. But they kept Santini as another righty. We'll see.
Hedman.
All right, Hedman was center of stick tap, so I guess that's our answer.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you, Steve.
Good for him.
Refrum, smooth, versatile, and now pouring at Benchmark International. Order Tropical Wave or a Lightning Mule and taste why fans are switching. Refrum is a premium craft Florida local rum built on authenticity, quality, and easy drinkability. Ask for Refrum by name. Go Bolts. Enjoy responsibly. Another interesting portion of this game, partner, happened to deal with Brandon Hagel and what happened in the second period. And do we call it basically being benched. He comes back and has a tremendous game. But John Cooper was asked about Hagel's response to the benching.
Come on. That's what you want to see. I think Hags, I don't have no idea if he spoke to the media or not, but I'm pretty sure he would have accepted a lot of responsibility for where the game started, and he should get all the credit in the world for how the game nearly ended. And it's, as a coach, I mean, you don't want to do that to your guys. I mean, I've been here a long time, and I've coached him in multiple different teams, and he's a gamer, and then that's a challenge to a player, and it was accepted. And he would be the first one to tell you, was there a couple plays in that game he'd like to have back? There's no question. But, I mean, I would have, if I could have 20 Brendan Hagels on my team, I would take them. But sometimes your kids have to be disciplined. Doesn't mean they don't love you.
A lot of truth to it.
Yeah.
And, Chief and Brian can speak to this as former players, that when you do hold your star players accountable, it does resonate in the locker room.
You got to shift on the penalty kill. So that was the kill in which the Penguins scored their third goal and Kindle scored. So it was not a full 2-minute power play. That was the only shift he had after the turnover. 5-on-5, he didn't see another shift until the third period. And actually his first shift in the third period was on the power play, and he scored.
A little surprised, just because, I mean, mistakes do happen. We do see these in games. Guys can have a really tough period, and you let them work through it. I think, again, what do we talk about? One of John Cooper's greatest strengths is maybe the pulse of his team and maybe when to make that move. We have seen that before with Kucherov, right? And, a lot of people question those moves as well. Coop, by the way, saying Hedman is probable for tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
that
is
means
good news.
he's in.
Yeah, he will be in.
Yeah.
But it's
Vasilevsky, though, I mean, we touched on this a little bit yesterday. Vasilevsky
point is questionable.
was not skating. Yeah, point is. So maybe questionable is better than definitely out. So maybe the road trip if Point can't play tomorrow. So we'll monitor the Vasi situation.
For sure.
Johansson played pretty well. I mean, I was asking Phil about the Koivunen goal. He's like, that's a great shot. First NHL goal. I mean, sometimes they're like going off a leg, right? That was a laser into the top of the net. He had the Malkin breakaway. He had the Kindle tip. And then Malkin gets the tic-tac-toe play on basically an open net and scores. Those are the 4 goals he allowed. So if he gets to start again tomorrow, hopefully he bounces back. But I didn't think he had a bad game last night.
Chief actually thought he played that goal incorrectly. That you need
the fourth goal?
The Koivunen goal.
Oh, the Koivunen goal.
Where you need to be more looking to the side that has more of the net. Because if you go short side, if you go short side, there's a chance it's probably going to miss.
Right.
So that was actually really good analysis.
The ironic part about that penalty kill, which was the first Pittsburgh power play, the Lightning had done a very nice job on the penalty kill. They had a couple. I think Hagel had a look up ice, and then Gergensen's had 2 shots, and the Penguins pulled the first unit off the ice. It was the second unit that came on the ice and scored.
I might be in the minority here. I didn't think Pittsburgh played a good game. It was an entertaining game, meaning there was a lot of things that happened. I thought Pittsburgh was loose defensively. I know they pushed back in the second period. I thought they took awful penalties. Letang specifically, which led to kind of the comeback in the third period. I mean, Jari was great, but that is not a formula to win games consistently.
Yeah, 40 shots against.
I mean, I thought Tampa Bay, and it started really with the first shift. Gergensen's comes down and has a shot on goal.
Yeah, they were loose. They were loose in the first 10 minutes for sure. And remember that stat I mentioned yesterday? Pittsburgh was minus 30 minutes in terms of the special teams differential. So they have been shorthanded, and it increased last night because their 2 power play goals they scored. I mean, they scored before it was 2 minutes up. So it's more than 30 minutes now. They have been shorthanded more than on the power play. And, that's going to the well. I know their PK has been good this year, but, I mean, you don't want to take bad penalties.
I don't think Crosby had a point.
No.
I actually didn't think Crosby and Rust were – Rust had – I think it was a shorthanded off
He
the
hit
post.
the post. He had that chance in the third period where the puck bounced to him.
Came right to him, right? Hit Crosby.
Yeah.
Did it hit Crosby and then went
Crosby
to,
was tied up with one of the Lightning defensemen, maybe Destu, and it came right to Rust, right in the low slot. That was Johansson's, maybe one of his best saves. And then he also stopped Rust. Pittsburgh had a third period power play. I couldn't believe this one. It was a shot from the point. It hit something, came right to Rust at the circle, and he had an open net. And Johansson got over.
He almost shot it back
a little bit.
into Johansson.
But I think if Johansson doesn't get over, it's in the net potentially. I mean, that was an extremely fortunate bounce that they got.
That was a game where I think Tampa Bay, if they go back to look, and they will, I'm sure a lot of things they'd like to do differently. But that's honestly a game where you would have thought they came away with 5, 6, 7 goals.
Yeah, well, Jari was the difference.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, he really
we had the fan who was like, "The Lightning got goalied by Sorokin."
Well,
I mean,
got
look,
goalied in the first
Jari gave up 4 actually because Kucherov shot it past him, but that was more of a goalied performance, definitely in the first. You're right.
Hagel had some interesting things to say about his response to Coop benching him.
Yeah, I think it's just a good lesson. I think it's a good lesson for myself. I think it's a good lesson for the entire group. That obviously, listen, the first period you hit a zillion chances it's not going your way, and obviously I was trying to force something there that I probably didn't need to force. So I think it was a good lesson for the entire group. Sucks it was me, but at the end of the day, everyone's going to learn from it. We're going to move forward, and we're going to get better from it.
I mean, just impressive.
Yeah, very accountable.
Just impressive. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is just something in life in general. A lot of people aren't. I mean, so many players could have pouted, and maybe, look, internally he was ticked off. I'm sure he was.
He was more upset about the turnover after the game than the 2 goals that I'm not that he's going to be upset about the 2 goals. But what he focused on was, he said, basically paraphrasing, I cost us the game because of that turnover, which is not completely true. I mean, he had his fingerprints on 1 goal against, but then he scored 2 himself. But the goal when Malkin scored it, that was a big goal because it gave the Penguins a little bit of wind at their back, and then soon after it became 3-0. By the way, what a pass from Radish to Kucherov on that first goal the Lightning got.
Crosby goes down and he makes the move, and gets it over, which was great to see. Aaron says, great job tying in the interviews with the podcast here. Power lunch keeps getting better.
Well, that's all Steve Versnick.
Steve
can revel in that compliment.
Revel, Steve.
Marinate in it. Baste yourself. He said we're going to start doing more of that.
We should. Chris says it hurts so much more because Cooch's roofer was beautiful. It was.
I am so on board with that. I mean, not only did it take away the tying goal, it took away one of the, I don't know if it was the nicest shot we're ever going to see, but I mean, that was a thing of beauty. And again, like, this isn't really meant for anything. I mean, the call was made. Toronto decided to do what they were going to do, but the league has tried to create more offense.
Yeah.
We've seen that in the rule changes through the years. They've bent toward more offense.
Yeah.
That's the way it's gone. Really going back to the 04-05 lockout coming out of that. We just saw more rules put in place or interpretation of rules to allow players more opportunities to score. It's one reason why you can't change players after an icing. It's a reason why you can't call timeout after an icing. They're giving an advantage to the offensive zone team. And for the league in a game like that, to pull an electrifying tying goal 6-on-5, to pull that off the board, it really left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, mine included. But as Coop said, you can't cry about it. Like, I don't think there was, whoever it was in Toronto, and maybe it was more than one person who was like, let's take a look at this hand pass. Is like, all right, we just saw this electrifying goal. It's really our objective to remove that from the game. Yeah. I don't think that was their thought process. I think their thought process was, this looks like a hand pass. Let's take a look. Yeah, he directed it. We touched on that in the beginning of the show.
Chris says, it seems that we've lost all of the games at home so far this year when the opposing team scores the first goal before the first TV timeout. Don't know if you guys have any insight on that. but I don't have any factual evidence. It just seems that way.
Well, that is not true because Edmonton scored early and the Lightning did rally to win that game. That's one I can recall.
There you go.
Right off the top.
I don't know
of my
if it's a
head.
trend. I'd have to go back and look at it.
Yeah. Look, I mean, they were up 2-0 on Vancouver. Vancouver had a terrible first period, and Vancouver came back and won that game.
Anthony says the Stu shouldn't have gambled on that fourth goal. Just let it land in the corner.
That's a tough play. So, I mean, once the Penguins got it, I didn't watch the replay a bunch of times, but I believe it was a 3-on-2, and they executed that very, very well. So, puck in the corner. Like, the puck he was probably no more than 10 feet inside the blue line. I don't know that puck's going into the corner. If he just lets it drop, Malkin was the guy who was on him. If he lets it drop, Malkin maybe he's able to go past him and has a lane to the net. I think trying to bat it with the glove is the right play. He just didn't get enough of it. I think what he's trying to do is to get it out to center ice. If he does that, at worst, a Lightning player touches it. That is a hand pass. You're allowed to do it in your own zone.
Yeah.
That's the other part of the rule. Like, you can make a hand pass in your own zone as long as it's received in your own zone. If it starts in your own zone and is touched out at center ice, it's a whistle and face off in your own end. That would have been preferable to what happened. But at best, he bats it out and the Penguins get it, but their three forwards are in the zone. So they have to get out of the zone, the Lightning end. So should I use the word muffed? I'm not sure he muffed it. He didn't connect with his glove on the puck as well as he wanted to. And maybe Malkin's presence affected that. I actually, more than blamed Stu, I credit Carlson. That's a very, very good play by Carlson to lift that thing up in the air and just create tension, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't going to be icing. There wasn't enough juice on that puck. He just made a really good play there. And then the three forwards teamed up to make a nice passing play.
Alan says the Islanders better watch out Saturday. Something like this could put a burr in the Lightning saddle. Hopefully we see Saturday. Kuch has 3 goals and 4 assists.
Kucherov is dealing right now. I mean, yes, he had a slow start to the year. He had that stretch around the time he got 1,000 points that he had a little bit of a burst, and then he kind of, for him, sagged. But since he's been with Hagel and Cirelli, he has picked it up, and I think it's not just that he's getting points now. In some ways, he is becoming the most dangerous player on the ice every game. We can see it, right? He's just dictating. He's finding seams with the puck. He's finding seams to pass. He's looking to shoot. Very, very dangerous. Hopefully he can keep it going.
Nick says, I do think the puck bouncing to Gensel was technically a small advantage. I'm surprised they didn't go with that logic.
All right, so... yes, and I thought about that. So that's why I don't like the terminology, the way it's phrased in the rule. Like, so give me an example when it's not an advantage. That was what I was saying. Like, show me an example where it deflects off my glove, let's say, and comes to you directly when it's not an advantage. It's always an advantage, isn't it? Like, if it hits my glove and comes to one of my teammates, it's always an advantage. But the rule states if it deflects and it's not an advantage, let it go. All right, so what is the difference? That's why I was like, okay, well, to me then, a real advantage is deflecting off the glove. The point is that it deflects off the glove. The puck could go anywhere. Is it creating real problems for the other team? That play didn't. Gensel's like on the outside of the circle. He's got Carlson behind him. Carlson actually reaches for the puck a little bit, doesn't touch it. I mean, Gensel touched it first. So, look, I accept what the fan said, and I thought about that too. But then show me an example of the opposite. Give me an example where it deflects off the glove and it's not an advantage if it goes to your teammate.
I think that's fair. I think also another one of those calls that gets a little muddy, puck hits off your skate into the goal. Are you doing it intentionally? Are you not doing it intentionally?
But I think that they've established the distinct kicking motion is really like you're looking for the leg to swing. And
we have seen some, though, that have been turned,
okay,
where it's not. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I just think it's It's a tough call. I reiterate, I do think the officials on the ice got the call right. Let's give credit where credit's due. This wasn't their call. Mytho says, calling on the ice or miss the call. It's how other sports go.
Well, JP would disagree with you, Mytho. So he went on a little diatribe last night in the last call talking about how this has become an epidemic, and did he say epidemic? Like, maybe you said epidemic. I'm not sure.
I don't know if I said
but we're
that,
seeing, I used to watch the NFL a lot more than I do now. I'm admitting it. I do like to see the Bucks do well, but I'm not glued to the television every Sunday. So I have lost I'm not as up to snuff on all of this, but when I tune in and all of this hand wringing about is it a catch? Is it not a catch? And again, I'm coming at it kind of like just an outsider fan. I'm like, how is this the ball moved like a fraction of an inch when the guy fell on the ground? He has it, right? But that's the rule, right? So it's kind of like, oh, well, now we have the cameras and we have the high def. And, did the ball move at all? Was his hand under the ball when it hit the ground? It's like if the guy grabbed it and has it as he's being tackled, as long as the ground doesn't force it out of his hands, to me, that's a catch. But what do I know? I mean, that's not a sport that I follow, but that's kind of logical. But it's gotten very, very complicated in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting to the point now where robots are calling balls and strikes. I mean, that the human element of the game is slowly being exterminated in many ways, and some people want that human error element back. I think there's a balance. Like a lot of things, you got to use some common sense too.
Yeah.
Evelyn says, how many times this year has Cooch had a goal taken away?
3. 2 run offside.
Yeah.
But again, those were black and white. This one to me wasn't, because it was a judgment call.
Had a question here. I got to find it, but it did deal with Curtis Douglas and his fights with Boko Imama. And basically, is this basically what Douglas is going to be doing game in and game out? Get that token fight, play for 2 to 3 minutes. And I think that's an interesting question, particularly at the forward position, when you have maybe some options that can play on a more regular basis. Because the Imama thing, that was staged. I mean,
they chatted, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean,
or during warm-ups.
Guys circle around. I mean, you knew that was going to kind of happen.
Yeah.
And okay. Phil would say I'd like to happen a little bit more organically.
Yeah, and Phil's also said he feels he needs to, get boxing lessons, basically, or something along those lines.
And Douglas, I think, said he lost. He's been losing his grip the last couple of times, and that has allowed the other player to maybe have the advantage. Boko Imama, for those who don't know, was former Lightning property.
Yeah.
He can fight.
Yeah, the thing with Douglas, his huge advantage is the fact that he is huge. So at 6'9", he has a reach advantage. But if he's losing his grip, we're really talking about the left hand, right? Where he's grabbing the other guy. If the other guy can get inside position on him, then he loses his reach advantage. I don't know. I mean, I kind of said at the start of the year, if he's only going to be playing, 3 to 4 minutes, I'm not sure if that is really something the Lightning want to sustain, but they have done it.
Yeah.
And right now they only have one extra forward. It's Jack Finley. And they're kind of set at center. So
right.
I mean, Point is questionable. Point is coming back fairly soon. The other side of this, and this is the stuff that we're not seeing a tangible result, having Douglas in the lineup could act as a deterrent and allow the Lightning to have, quote unquote, more room, right? Or when you're playing the Panthers, keep the Panthers honest, essentially. And, we felt that was actually the case when it was Sabrin, Finley, and Douglas as a line in the game at Florida.
Right.
And they had a very, very good game. And they also kind of kept the Panthers quieter in terms of the extracurriculars. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to make of the
hard
stage
to judge.
fights. There have been a couple of them recently. He fought, Delorier, and he fought, Imama.
Delorier and Imama, the last two, tough guys.
And he fought Wilson. Yeah.
I mean, they know how to handle their business. I'm not saying Douglas doesn't, but I think his biggest advantage right now is his height. I'm not sure it's his fighting ability. I think that's what people were bringing up now.
Yeah.
They're kind of seeing this, and they're saying, okay, like his first fight with the Lightning was a good one.
Yeah. McDermott with Ottawa.
You could see some
Yeah.
You could see some connects, right, and it looked good. But I think, and listen, to his credit, to a degree, he's fought three of the tougher players in the National Hockey League.
But Imama hasn't been in the NHL a lot. He's been in
No,
the
but I mean,
minors,
like-
and so is Douglas. So Douglas has fought in the minors. It's not like he's new
Well, and I
to
think
fighting.
he said, did he say he played with Imama? Or knows? I mean, he referenced him.
Yeah.
Like, so I think there's history there in the
Imama
minors.
played in the Quebec League, I want to say.
He
'Cause he was
referenced
teammates with Matthew Joseph, I want to say.
Yeah. I
don't know where they would have crossed paths. Maybe out west.
I think
maybe,
it might
maybe
have been.
Imama played out west.
Was it in
for a
Arizona?
little bit.
It might have been in the minor leagues.
Maybe.
Right? I
Well,
think
they
that
would have
might
been
have
in
been.
the same organization.
So that's,
then.
I think that's kind
I
of
lost
where,
track of Imama after he left the Lightning, and
Yeah.
then when he got to Pittsburgh, I lost track of what happened
Whatever
to
happened
him
in between there.
In between.
Right. But he does have a history of being a tough dude in the minors for sure. Anyways, I think that's going to be an interesting question. Dominic James, Gage Gonsalves, these players are going to continue to come up in terms of production, ice time. Where are they going to be? I think James.
I thought he had a pretty good game.
I feel
last
like
night.
he was closer.
Yeah, he had that
some
2-on-1
looks.
with Gensel. Gensel got on the
Yeah.
puck. That was when Hagel was not seeing the ice, and James was out there with Gensel. Gensel got him the puck, and it was a little bit in his skates. He couldn't quite finish. He drew a penalty. Was it on Wotherspoon, I think? Maybe Carlson. No, it was Wotherspoon. He drew the penalty on Wotherspoon.
Yeah.
So, look, he's got to keep plugging away. I think this is normal and natural. Whether he'd scored, 1 goal in his first 10 games and now he has 2, or he'd scored 7 goals in his first 10 games, like at some point, getting acclimated to the rigors of the pro game and the NHL game, like you're going to have to maybe take a step back before you take 2 steps forward. Getting injured probably didn't help him. I'm talking about James. But last couple of games, like you wondered if that goal he scored against the Islanders would help him. I thought he had a fairly noticeable game last night.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah. For sure. Tomorrow, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah,
for the
Islanders
Lightning.
handed the Avalanche just their second regulation loss.
A little surprised. Huh?
They scored 6. So, I mean, they were struggling a little bit to score. They didn't generate a lot against the Lightning. The earlier games in their homestand, they were generating but not scoring. Last night, they scored. We'll see what happens. They've won 2 in a row now, and the Lightning have lost 2 in a row in regulation. So the Lightning definitely want to end this streak before they head back on the road for 4 straight starting Monday.
Yep. Well, we had an entertaining game last night. I think everybody who went to that enjoyed it outside of the outcome for sure. I think the Lightning want to get back on track here and snap this mini 2-game slide. I think that's the other thing that a lot of people are going to be looking at.
They've played hard, though, these last 2 games. They haven't played perfectly, which is why they've had some mistakes. Their penalty kill let them down a little bit last night against a very good power play. I mean, it's no fluke that the Penguins went 2 for 4. They came in number 1 in the NHL. But just enough has gone off the last couple of games. The Lightning have not been able to get points, but like their urgency level, their work ethic, like the things that you want to see have stayed fairly high, right? So let's see them put their work boots on again and hopefully get a better result against the Islanders tomorrow.
It's all we can ask for.
Yeah.
We'll go from there.
And
All right,
welcome
partner.
back Victor Hedman, apparently.
Victor Hedman. That'll be a lot of fun. Great job, partner, as always.
You too.
And I will see you at the rink tomorrow. Thanks to Steve Versnick for all he does, Jared Johnston as well, and everybody who listened this week and obviously today's show. We appreciate you guys. I am Greg Linnelli. You've been listening to Power Lunch right here on Lightning Radio.